Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Watson. I'm responsible for new business development with IO integration here in the UK and Europe. Welcome to this Workfront presentation. Thank you for joining us. The presentation will take approximately 40 minutes. You're welcome to submit any questions at any stage throughout the presentation. You can use the questions box there in the GoToMeeting palette. So thank you all for joining us. This is a big topic. It's a very popular topic at the moment, marketing, work management. We've been working with Workfront for over a year now, I believe. It's been a very, very successful solution for us. Today I'm going to talk about, first of all, why Workfront is successful. You know, what are the challenges that customers are facing across all industries, not just marketing, but in IT, project management and others. And what's driving people towards these types of solutions. And in the second half, we're going to look at a fictitious retailer called Swain's, and we're going to follow a work pattern, so a work request from cradle to grave, and how the different personas within the organization interact with the Workfront platform. So without further ado, we'll kick off. So apologies if this is talking to the choir or singing to the choir, but I'd just like to give you some rationale behind this. So marketing technology is growing at a very, very high rate. It's becoming much more strategic to the organization. Marketeers are becoming more accountable, and the technologies that they invest in are required to drive measurable results more than ever. In fact, there's some predictions that there will be something like $30 billion worth of Martech spending by 2018. So it's a very important thing to most organizations, and organizations are using it to drive results. So I used to think marketing was very very glamorous, and I think parts of it still are, but a lot of marketing people these days tend to be skilled in Excel spreadsheets or algorithms and data mining and that sort of thing. So it's very much changed, I think, over the last 20 years or so, and it seems to change at a faster rate all the time. And with that fragmentation of all the channels, that if you're trying to get a message to the right consumer on the right device at the right time, you've never had more options. And that means that people are kind of stretched too thin in terms of what they have to deliver across all these different technologies, and of course to learn these different technologies is a huge undertaking as well. And in fact, some recent survey found out that a third of marketers are working more than 40 hours a week. So that element of being stretched too thin is causing people to be overstretched. And like most companies, marketing is very much driven by deadlines. No matter whether it's a press ad that has to be in the newspaper for Saturday morning, or a brochure that needs to be ready for an event that's being planned, or product launch, these deadlines are constantly looming over us, and it's very important that our workflows are streamlined, our systems are all aligned, so that we can reduce any risk of missing those deadlines. But of course, it's the nature of the beast that you're going to be up against it at the last hours, trying to get that work out the door. All companies have inputs and outputs and a process in the middle. So we're going to look at an example here of perhaps an in-house creative team, or a corporation with a marketing department. They would have work requests coming in. It gets processed, and then there'll be a deliverable at the end of it. But you could apply this almost to any workflow, I suppose, within a company, whether that's an IT request or checking up on a report and so on. So let's look at this request. Somebody's going to pop a request over to operations on Instant Messenger, although that's gone into the wrong team or the wrong person within that team. So operations would then write an email and try and try and communicate what that original work request is in an email to the creative team. Creative team calls up the production department, but the production department doesn't have enough information. So the production department will go back to creative, who then goes back to operations. And already very quickly, you're creating quite a lot of complexity in the flow of work before you've even really started to work on the job that's in hand. People are not always at their desk, of course, so you might want to try and call them on their mobile, and then before you know it, you've kind of created this labyrinth of communications and confusion between the three departments, and you're kind of choking that free flow of information between capturing work and processing it and then delivering it out the door. And we call this the labyrinth. It's not just us saying this. There's a lot of research into this area in terms of unnecessary meetings, how much it's costing us to have those status meetings to make sure everybody's updated, making data presentable, and then presenting that to VPs and so on. This is the staggering figure that I always find shocking, is that 40% of CMOs don't feel like they have the right people, tools, or resources in their company to actually deliver the work that's been asked of them. So that's definitely an issue that we can help with. So you put all that together and you've got this concept of the attacking mutant workload, which is really when you're getting it from all angles. You're having drive-by work requests at your desk, people calling you on a Friday afternoon saying, can you just get this done? We need it Monday morning for this product launch. And there's no real rhyme or reason or process behind it or system to manage this request and help people with their work. And, something like 44% of board level marketers are now working 10 or more hours over their contracted hours for a week. So that's a pretty bad thing, and that can lead to people leaving companies, and it's very hard to attract and maintain talent in this marketplace, being so competitive. Another key issue that we're finding with customers as we speak to them is that they're not easily able to quantify or present to senior decision makers within the organization what value their department is actually providing to the business as a whole. Reports are cumbersome, Excel spreadsheets are very cumbersome, and extracting that data and having reliable data is something that is a bit of a challenge for some people, and it means that they're not able to perhaps communicate what their team is up to at any given time, and for some VPs that's something that needs to be addressed as well. So that's very quick 20,000 foot overview of how we see the market. It's getting more complex. There's a lot riding on marketing teams to deliver. They're more accountable than they ever have been. So let's have a look at how Workfront works within an organization we have here called Swains. Swains is a retailer. They're about to launch a new product line, an autumn product line. And let's just have a look at how that work request is managed. We'll take a look first at Conrad here. Now he's what I would call an internal client. He may be an external client in some situations, but he would always wonder who he should send marketing requests to. That would often lead to confusion, and sometimes he'd frustrate the team with late feedback on content that's been created for him. And when he does get the content or versions of that content, he's often out of the loop when it's been released for him. So in this scenario, he's got a brand portal where he can log in through a browser and he can actually navigate his way to look for some content that he needs for this launch. So he's going to type in a search bar there, fall. So he's looking for an autumn advert for the particular region, but he's not exactly finding what he's looking for. So he's going to have to request a whole new piece of content, and he can do that from here. So here he's presented with a form, and that form is completely customizable and it's dynamic as well. In this example, the form is asking for a short description, a headline, and what priority it's going to be. He can add some documents in there or attach a document. It might be a brief of some description. He's going to set the priority to high, of course, because that's the kind of guy he is. And as we scroll down, you can see he's filling out what type of request it is. So is it a billboard or in-store or storefront? On this occasion, it's a storefront. What region is it for? Any photography that's required, and so on. So that by submitting that request now, he's told the system how to handle this request. So what team it needs to go to, what type of request it is, what's the priority of that request. And in the old days, sometimes that information was a bit haphazard. So when he submits his request, he gets a receipt, and he's now happy that has gone to the right team. So he knows, as I said, what information is needed for a request. He sees when his request will be done, and he's collaborating with marketing to ensure it's done right the first time, which of course is going to save quite a significant amount of time and money. So let's see where that request goes to. In this example, it's going to go to Joan Harris. She's what we might call a production manager, maybe a traffic coordinator, somebody who's balancing work requests in and assigning tasks to people. So she would obviously track projects in outdated spreadsheets. I would say 90% of the customers we speak to have been using Excel in some form or another to track projects. She'd spend hours a day chasing updates from team members, and when she gets those updates, she has to update the spreadsheets again. And she's always worrying about whether she can actually hit the deadlines that have been asked of her. So she has a very different view here of the system. She's set it up where she wants to see all of her projects down there on the left side, and we can see we've got project completion date, where the progress is of that project. If the project is running over budget, you can see here the system's telling us that we're $3,500 over this email campaign here. She might want to click on that, find out why it's running over budget, and make some changes. This Ranger launch that we're looking at is it's obviously a big launch. It's a big important. It's a big deal. So it's got its own tab here, and we can see that there are some sub projects within that entire campaign. So we have one email campaign. We've got 2 events running, 2 print tactics going, and a social tactic as well. So again, you can see here it keeps it all nice and clear. And by going to monitoring, you can see which tasks are at risk in a slightly more detailed way with this RAG display here. And when the new request tab, it's self-explanatory, but she can very clearly see here which new requests, and here she's got it set up by channel, have come through. We can see that Conrad's request, which was high priority, is fallen into this queue here, and she can see when it was entered and the planned completion date of 27th of January. By clicking on that, that will take her into this window here, where she's got it's empty at the moment because it's brand new, of course, but she's got almost like a social feed here of what's happening with this project. She's going to quickly look at the form that Conrad filled out and check some of the information. She's also going to have a quick look at the calendar view of what her team is working on, and it's broken down here by activity, and you can see that it's looking pretty full. So she can scroll across and she can see that there's an opening there in February that she feels she can meet that request. So she goes back into this window here, and she's going to update Conrad by typing his name. The system will pick up his avatar, and she's going to select him, and she's going to update him by clicking that button there. So now Conrad will be notified that Joan has told him that she's getting on it, and it's off to creative. Now this is a fairly common task, this signage, and there's been a template created for it previously, which means that she can very easily add some more information to it if she needs to, but there's a template already in place for creating signage. So that will mean that she can get sort of 80% of the project template already there, and if she needs to fettle with it a little bit to make it 100% accurate, then she can drag these Gantt charts bits back and change things if she needs to, but she doesn't need the Gantt chart just yet. The one thing she is going to change at this point is the final task, which is in this example to send it back into the asset management system. So that's to really publish it for others to use. So she can highlight that, go to the due on column, select it, and then she's going to select the 12th of February to complete that task. And by closing it down, that will then go back through all the different tasks and update the dates. And when each of those tasks is due, excuse me, based on the number of days or hours that are required for each task. So by fanning out this first task, there are some subtasks within there. So she wants to just maybe she has a particular person in mind for, in this case, the initial copy example. So she's going to click on copywriter, and the system's then going to pick up who are copywriters within the system itself. There's 4 here, and she likes Bert, so she's going to highlight Bert as somebody who's going to work on that number 4 task. She also has this staffing view, which is really the sort of resource planning side of the platform, where you can see here on the project team, here is the project team, and here is that month of January. And you can see poor Sal Romano here has been flagged because somebody's overbooked Sal Romano, and it's flagging it as red. Perhaps he's on a 38-hour week or 40-hour week. So she might want to click on that red area there and reassign some of his tasks to somebody with fewer tasks on their list. So for the final copy task, which is task 5, she is going to also have Bert do that. So she's going to drag and drop final copy onto Bert's name, and that will then update his hours with the additional 2 days or whatever it is work that's required to do that task. All right. So she sees all incoming requests in one place, and this is really important for her because it means that she's not having to field all sorts of requests from different avenues, and she knows exactly what her team members are up to. She's getting status updates regularly from them, and she's very confident now that she can feedback accurately whether or not they can meet the deadlines requested. So this is the creative team, and we're going to look at some of their issues that they had. David, he's the creative director chap here on the left. He would often wonder what his team was working on. He had no visibility into it. It was very tricky to see what people were up to at any point in time of the day. He'd struggle with aligning team priorities, and he'd spend more time in status meetings than being creative, which is certainly not good for his morale. Rick on the right there, he's a graphic designer, very good graphic designer. He would get bombarded with requests via email, chat, and phone because he's a reliable guy. People always call up and say, "Hey, Rick, can you get this done? I know you're a good guy and you're going to do a good job." So that was stressful for him. He was wasting time on revisions based on poor feedback, and we'll see what that means in a little bit. And he'd learn about deadlines at the last minute. So like, "Hey, Rick, we've got this big thing Monday morning. Can you work late and get this done?" We've all had that before. So let's take a look at David. So this is David's view. You can see his team all the way down here on the left, and he's got a sort of creative department update feed here in the center of the screen where you can see what's going on at any given time, and you can see here what his team's working on. So his team is down the left, and you can see exactly what activities each member is working on. You can see up there that unassigned work items, that create layout, needs to be assigned to someone, so he's going to click on it, and he's going to assign it to Rick just by doing that. So then it disappears out of the unassigned work items queue, and that will then let Rick know that he's got some work. So this is one of my favorite interfaces because you can see here what we've got coming up during the week, what he needs to do, and you can see that he's working on 3 items at the moment, and he's got a new work request there. He's got 1 new work request. He's got 4 approvals that he needs to look at as well. So here's that layout that David just sent to him, and immediately he's going to let David know that he's working on it by clicking that tab. Obviously it disappears out of his work requests and goes into his working on tab. So he needs to take a look at this. His world is Adobe InDesign in this instance. He's going to navigate using this program that uses actually the asset management system that's fully integrated into the system. to stock photography, because stock photography is required for this job. And he simply drag and drops the image that he wants onto the page, and then he adds his copy. And as far as Rick's concerned, he's happy that that's what they've asked for. He's going to check it back into Workfront, and you can see there it creates a JPEG, and as far as he's concerned, he's done. He's going to let everyone know that he's done. And the workflow's been set up in this example for David to then get notified that Rick's done something. So it's got to go to David's queue, and he is going to take a look. Okay, but he needs to collaborate with others to just make some comments on this piece of content. So he's not actually that happy with it. So he's going to actually put a comment here to say, remove that white box. And right now we're in a program called Proof HQ. This is part of the Workfront family. It's fully integrated with the Workfront project management tool. And this is a very nice visual collaboration tool, very simple to use, and allows people to come in and collaborate on any type of document, really, video, digital documents, PDFs, websites, whatever it might be. So yeah, he's not happy. He's going to save it down, and he's going to come out of that, and he's going to, of course, reject it by clicking reject. Naturally, that goes straight back to Rick. Rick gets notified, and you can see down here we've got a dialogue going on here between some of the team members, also on the same document. So he's going to open up Proof HQ by clicking Proof, and you can see that there are 3 people that have made comments, and you can expand those out and start understanding, you know, what needs to be done to make it good. Okay. All right. So he goes away. He makes his changes, version 2, let's call it, and he drags and drops that file back onto the task, and it once again says he's done. So he clicks he's done. And again, it goes back to David. So David now looks at it the second time, version 2, and he wants to make sure that Rick's done everything that was asked of him. So he's going to have this side-by-side view where he can actually go through the comments and just check off everything's been done that everybody asked him to do. And as far as he's concerned, he's done. Yeah, he's happy with that. So he's going to approve it. Excellent news. Okay. The final stage of that project, by the way, was to, you might remember, was to publish it to the Workfront DAM for others to view, share, or download, or whatnot. So he can do that right from here again, from the Workfront project management interface. It's all nicely integrated, so he just clicks Workfront DAM and he navigates to a folder structure, signage in this case. There's actually 4 jobs that they did. We only showed 1 here, but he's going to publish all 4 of them at the same time into that folder in the DAM. And there it is. So this is the DAM now. Again, as I said, all 3 products are tightly integrated. And here we have on the right side some metadata that's been captured relating to that document that will enable it to be searched on later. There are a number of options that you can also do here. You can share out a link, you can post it to somewhere, and so on. So David, he can now see everything his team's doing at any given time. He can manage team assignments with ease, and he can focus more of his time on being creative rather than wondering what Rick's up to. Rick, on the other hand, he can now maintain a clear list of priorities. It's laid out for him in the platform. He gets better recognition for his work, and he has time to meet the deadlines now. So let's go right back to where we started at Conrad. So he now has 4 pieces of content that has been approved. These are approved for use. So he's going to select them all, and he's going to share them with a third party. In this case, he's got some printers in the address book there. He wants to send it to the printer. This is all customizable, of course. This is just an example, but he's sending out a printable PDF, 300 dpi. It could just easily be a JPEG, 72 dpi for the web, perhaps. And off they go. So that was beginning to end, let's have a look at the VP in this example, Karen Sterling. She struggled to justify resources. She was always scrambling, connecting daily work with strategic initiatives, so she wasn't really able to show what her department was contributing to the business overall. Now, right out the box, we have some reports that we can pull. From this example, we're looking at completed requests this quarter by department, broken down by channel. So we can see here that the sales department made 26 web requests this quarter, and they also did 21 print requests. So this is all dynamic and live information. She doesn't have to prepare anything. It's just there at her fingertips when she needs it, which is really handy when her bosses ring her up and say what's going on in the business at the moment. We can do an infinite number of reports. We can cut and dice the data as you need it. This is just an example. She also has the Ranger launch view here, so she can see those channels and what's going on with that particular launch. Same view as what Joan had, I believe. She's got the calendar view as well, so she can see exactly what people are working on, where the where times are going to be quite quiet. And also she's got here a marketing overview. So this is giving her two pie charts, obviously. One is marketing spend by channel, quite a lot on video. Video is expensive to produce. And over here, we've got current projects by condition. We can see here that there are 4 in trouble. You might want to click on that red area there, taking her to those 4 at-risk projects, and perhaps find out from Joan what on earth is going on and make some changes if necessary. Again, these are all live data sources. Finally, on this window, we have optimization. So a lot of our clients obviously use third parties in busy times. In retail in particular, this is a particularly busy time with Christmas, of course, around the corner. So they have to generally ramp up the number of hours that are being worked, and sometimes that means hiring contractors, for example. So you can perhaps see a trend here, and maybe Karen might have a case for asking the business for more internal resources, as there may be a saving there, for example. So that's quite useful information to have. So she's got accurate, up-to-date forecasts, costs and benefits. She can see exactly where costs are coming into and out of the business. She's got her reports that she loves, and she can now proudly communicate exactly what her group's been up to, over the last quarter, or what's coming up over the next quarter. So that's very interesting for her. Okay, so that was that workflow. Obviously, it's just one example. We'd very much like to have conversations with you guys and find out what your workflow looks like, and perhaps we can see if Workfront is or makes sense for your business. Workfront is in itself as a company in a very high growth state at the moment. They've got a number of very, very famous clients. They just won this year Google and Facebook. So they continue to deliver great products, and the market has definitely recognized that. But they also work with a lot of unknown companies, of course. It is a SaaS, so it just does mean that it's fairly achievable to get on board with the platform. I'm happy to have conversations with you afterwards to see what that might look like. They're growing all the time. I expect this number is out of date now. I expect there's more, but over 650 employees across 65 different, within 65 countries across 5 offices, including US and UK, Japan, China, and Armenia. Okay, so that concludes it. Thank you very much for your time. I will be in touch with all of you at some stage. Damien, do you have anything to add at this stage before we sign off?
Yeah, I am recording the webinar, so for anybody who wasn't able to make it or would like to share it with colleagues, we will be getting that up, and Mike will be following up with an email with a link to that video.
Perfect. So we finished 10 minutes early. Thank you all for your time. And we'll be running more events like this over the coming weeks and months. So please look out for our communications about those. So thank you again and have a great day.